What's going on, everybody? Classic Game Freak here.
And retired by choice.
Welcome back to another episode of the Classically Retarded Show. How are you tonight, man?
I am doing fantastic. How about yourself, sir?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Just kind of chilling out, ready to do the show.
Yeah, we've been encountering a couple problems here or there. Mostly me falling asleep or just not having enough time to actually get together and do this.
Every time, I swear, there is something that happens. We have such misfortune with this series. If it's not you falling asleep, it's me having hardware issues. I don't know what's been going on with my internet lately, but I know there's been a couple times I haven't been able to get on the Google Hangouts to record it. Shoot, what else? Rendering issues. Both you and I have rendering issues when we go to do the episode, and we actually do hardcore edits of each episode.
Yeah. Rendering is never fun. I mean, for me, myself, I know it takes me about 6 hours to render a full episode, and that's if we hit our 1 hour mark. If we go over, it's always more. And then, of course, uploading to YouTube takes 4 hours easy.
Yeah, and that's depending on the internet speed you're getting at that point in time.
Yep, and you're just hoping and praying that there's no hiccups, burps, farts, or nothing.
And just as maybe it's about to finish uploading, the power goes out or something like that.
And that's just the story of my life when it comes to the show, because
right?
if it's not that, it's my computer deciding, you know what, I don't want to be on anymore. I'm going to shut down in the middle of your render.
And completely, what was it, overheat?
Yeah, I got an HP, so they tend to overheat a little bit. So when it overheats, it goes, you know what, I'm done. I'm turning off. And you gotta wait for it to turn back on, and then once you get back up, luckily I save my projects. Like every time I do a little edit, I save it immediately, so I got that right there. But if you're 4 hours into a render, you still gotta go back and re-render from the beginning. It doesn't save from where you last left off rendering. So
it'd be nice to do a save on render.
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. I would actually pay for that.
I think I would too. I mean, I would pay good money for that, because rendering has been my biggest issue in any video. Like, I remember there was one time I was trying to render a video, and it was like I went to bed the night before, let it render. I got up and it was like 8 or 9 hours into the render, and it was like 26% and wasn't moving. Like the time was still counting up, but the percentage wasn't moving, nothing. It just kind of froze.
Right. That sounds like the render I did on the episode where it took like 12 hours to render, and I ended up rendering it in too high of a definition. And it took up like 236 gigs of hard drive space.
Good God.
Yeah, that was a mistake I learned real quick.
That must have been super clear. That's like 8K, 4K material right there. At least it should have been.
It was very nice, but it knocked my hard drive down to I think I had like 23 gigs left. My computer's like, I'm not doing anything.
God, yeah. So that's the woe of this show. Like, behind every episode, there's at least one or two problems.
Always.
So, yeah, this time you fell asleep last night, but to be quite honest, it was a good thing, because I was able to go back and add some games to the list that we have here, which we better get the title or the subject for the episode out there, which is the top games of 2014 and the worst games of 2014, because yeah, 2014's gone. We're now in 2015. Still we have the hoverboards, but we still don't have the self-lacing shoes or the flying cars or what else? The holographic jaws.
Yeah, we don't have those things, but we do have the nifty holographic hats. You can get those. I know in my area there's a store called Movie Stop. And they sell those Back to the Future baseball caps for like $25 each.
Nice. I need to get myself one, but I don't know. I think I would dig the self-drying clothes a little better, the self-drying jacket.
I still want, since the first day I watched Back to the Future Part 2 back in 1989. I still want a hoverboard no matter what.
Yeah.
There's a video online where they show Tony Hawk actually using it, and it's big, it's clunky, but it's got like it's got to use like a special metal flooring to hover over,
Yeah.
and they cost right around 10 grand right now. But I'd say in about 10 years, those things become thinner and will be a little bit more pliable, more durable, and hopefully come down in price quite a bit.
I can see that becoming a like franchise, like these businesses opening up where you go inside, kind of like laser tag used to be. You go in and they've got the magnetic floors or whatever they use, and you can rent yourself out a hoverboard and you can go around there, and they've got it set up like a skate park. I could see that totally happening.
Yeah, I believe I don't think it's a Kickstarter account they got going on, but it's something like that, where one of the things is they're building a special hoverboard park, and if you donate a certain amount, you get your name put into the park or whatnot.
Nice. I look forward to that just to see it. I mean, I was never a skateboard punk. I didn't have the balance for it. Matter of fact, like when rollerblades were all the rage, my mom and dad bought me a pair, and within the first 2 hours of owning them, I broke my wrist.
Oh, geez.
So that was at the beginning of my summer too. I was getting out of 6th grade into 7th grade, broke my wrist. Man, that kind of defined that summer. I had just hit summer vacation.
And I'm guessing that you probably just hit puberty too, so that kind of put a major cramp in your leg life.
That was my left hand. Don't worry, my right was okay.
Nice.
We are so getting off topic here.
Uh,
If you want to find out about my nightlife, please check out Classic Game Freak at Night. Oh yeah.
yep, classic after dark.
Classic After Dark, right. Anyway, yeah, a new year, new gaming trends. There was a lot of good last year, a lot more bad, and there was a lot of ugly. We're not really talking about the ugly. I mean, I know that a big thing last year was the whole Gamergate thing, you know, Anita Sarkeesian and all that crap. Just
Yeah,
like,
that was a bit of a nastiness there.
and yeah, and the reason I personally don't want to talk about that is because, I mean, we could somebody could misconstrue what we're saying and make us the bad gamers, you know, the evil people, and I don't
Yeah.
want to do that.
No, I don't have the financial resources to fight anything like that, so
Right. Yeah. So we're going to talk about the good games and the bad games of 2014. And hey, I think we've broke our record here. We're actually getting to the topic at hand within the first 10 minutes, I think.
yeah. Usually we spend the first 20 minutes talking about other things, and then we get to topic, but we're on topic right away, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd be able to do that. I was hoping because I know, looking at my list here, I'm going to tell you straight off. I've got a good and bad list here. I've been kind of putting together, and the good list I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 good games with 2 in kind of the ho hum, kind of good but not bad section, and then I've got actually 4 like main games that are in my bad list. So.
Ah, well, I have about 12 good games and looks like about 10 bad games.
Damn. And I'm hearing a lot. I've seen a lot on YouTube, and I've seen a lot on just the interwebs in general about how crappy 2014 was for gamers.
Yeah, yeah, well, it depends on which camp you're in and what you're talking about exactly. I mean, because there's a lot of games or a lot of talk about games coming out last year that a lot of hype. I mean, a lot of games that were hyped up a lot where they looked really great, really good, and then when they came out, they just did not perform as well as they were shown to be performing.
And with you saying that, that sounds exactly like the two games I have in my ho hum. It's good, they're good, but not bad, or they're not as good, but they're not bad. So yeah.
Well, if you want to kick it off, sir, go ahead.
Well, okay, yeah. Let's just go ahead. There's two standouts in that section for me, and I knew these were going to be kind of right on that line. And I mean, I already know this game's on your list. I know it because we've talked about it in the show. It's good, but it's bad at the same time, and that's Watch Dogs.
See, I got that strictly in my worst list because of the fact that it was so overhyped, and I usually don't buy into the hype when it comes to video games. I have a pretty well set definition of what games I like, which games I don't. Um, I know somewhat well ahead of time which games I will not pre-order, and Watch Dogs is one of those games when it was first announced I thought it was pretty cool. And then the closer it got to launch date, I got more and more jazzed about it to where I bought into the hype. I went and I pre-ordered. I even went and bought the season pass pre-order, which I hardly ever do. Usually I buy a game first and then play it and then go out and get the season pass. Not this time. I went out and just did it all at once. And I mean, it's not a horrible game. I played worse games. I own worse games. But just for what was told to us throughout the gaming community and through the press releases and the game footage, I mean, it looked like it was going to be one of those games that it was just going to be the game of the year. I mean, between that, Destiny, and of course any Call of Duty game coming out, and it looked like it was going to be one of those top tier games, but it just underperformed. It was not that good. It didn't do half the things they said that you should be able to do in the game.
Exactly. In E3, what was it, 2012, they showed an amazing trailer. They showed some gameplay footage, or maybe it was 2013, but they showed gameplay footage, and the things your character could do was really cool, hacking into everything. And, like, when I saw that, I was genuinely excited. Like, it was just like, oh man, you can go and manipulate everything. That's really cool. This game looks really awesome. But as it progressed, like, everybody was getting really excited about it, and I was getting less and less excited about it because I started thinking about it. I was like, this looks like Grand Theft Auto. It really looks like Grand Theft Auto with a hacking element. I just don't think it's going to be that great. And when it first came out, I went and bought it, and I was severely disappointed because, like, you can hack stuff, but it was mostly like hacking into a security camera to get different angles on a place you were going to bust into, or you could sit there and you could see each character walking by, and just divorced his wife, just is a pedophile, things like that. It was very dull. Car chases, it was like, oh, you could put up barriers on the street to have police run into them and get them off your tail, and it just was very, very underwhelming. Not to mention the character was boring and you didn't care about him, and
yeah,
that's a shame.
Very much so. I know, it was E3 2013. They showed a massive gameplay footage, and they showed the one mission where you're kind of hiding behind the cars, and you're trying to go from an apartment building that you stole a hard drive from, and you're trying to get to a waypoint, get away from the guards and whatnot. And they made it seem really cool, the way that they showed the footage where you can hack into different webcams and kind of help someone get away from the security guards who are looking for you and your character. But when you got to that mission in the game, it was just frustrating because you had to find the right angle, and you had to find the right moment to say, okay, you can move from this bush to that bush or whatnot.
Exactly. It like every mission felt the same anyway. It was this rinse, lather, repeat, and I got to the point where I just didn't care. I just went in guns blazing every time. Now I I have yet to go beat the game, but that was it for me.
I actually physically made myself sit down and finish the game because one, I was mad I spent so much money on it, and two, I just I hate not finishing games. I mean, I got a stack of games here that I still need to go through and finish, but I, this game, I just need to finish it, and I did, and the storyline sucked. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't want to give anything away, no spoilers or nothing, but it reminded me kind of like I don't know, a poor man's Matrix at the end, where it's like, okay, information's free, blah blah blah. And it's like, all right, Neo.
Yeah, it. I'm having a hard time going back and playing it. I still have it collecting dust on my shelf, but I do want to go back and play it. I really do.
I mean, I guess it's worth playing through at least once. It's definitely not going to be a game I play through again. And I know there's a lot of stuff in that game I still need to go through, all the side missions and whatnot. But talking about lather, rinse, repeat, those side missions are bullshit.
Yes,
They're so boring and monotonous and tedious. I just want to just, especially those the QR missions where you gotta line up the buildings and things and take photographs of the QR codes.
yeah.
I hate those missions so much.
Oh yeah. It that is why I have a hard time going back and playing it because I start thinking about those side missions like that, and I'm just like,
Yeah, I mean some games they add side missions and it doesn't seem like a task. It seems like a fun little side mission basically. I mean that's what it is. It's what it's supposed to be. It adds to the gameplay. Whereas this game it hinders the gameplay because it's like, well, if I don't get it done, I won't get the achievement. But it's one of those things that you don't have to do it. You
yeah,
don't. It's not going to make the game better or worse. Well, it'll make it worse, but it won't make it any better if you do them.
you'll just come away with it more frustrated.
More frustrated, and you might get a crappy weapon. I mean,
Right. It's not worth it.
I don't know, sir.
So, kind of jumping from games here. I know on my ho hum list, I'm just going to get this out of the way since there's only two on my middle list. I know you said you haven't played it because you weren't interested in it, and that's cool. But Destiny, this
Yeah.
it was so like people were hyping it so bad, and I mean I remember even guys at work saying, "Man, I can't wait for Destiny," and I saw gameplay of it, and I was like, "Well, kind of looks like Halo meets Borderlands." I'm not that excited about it, but yet I still fell into the whole. Well, I want to pre-order it because I know a bunch of people that's going to play it, and when I did, I was severely disappointed, and I got exactly what I thought I was going to get because I played the beta. And I thought to myself, I was like, is this going to be what it is, like the whole game? Because if it is, I don't want it. It was kind of the same patrol missions over and over again. And that's exactly what the game was. I mean, they added some raids in there and so on, but for the most part, it was a good game. Like the shooting aspects are really, really good, but at the same time, it felt very empty.
Well, isn't Destiny made by Bungie?
Yes, sir.
And they're the ones who did the Halo series.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. I wonder if there's a correlation there. I don't know. I've never been a fan of the Halo series, so anything Bungie does, I really don't give a crap about. But I do remember that Destiny was being hyped hardcore, and I did enjoy the commercial they had on the TV about the game. It looked interesting,
Is
but
that
it was the one where it's like a live action. They're like scoping out some kind of looks like a slave encampment site or something.
yeah.
And they're like, let's put on some music, something classical. And they throw on Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, I will admit that that trailer makes me happy every time I see it. I really do love that commercial.
Yeah, I love that Zeppelin song. I mean, as a great choice. And I just thought it was also hilarious that they consider Zeppelin classical, not classic, but classical.
Yeah. And I mean they're just killing hordes of enemies to that. It's just it brings out the happy in me.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely see that. See, now that commercial I liked, I enjoyed it, but I'm just not a big first-person shooter type of guy.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of Bungie, not a big fan of the Halo type stuff, so I just pass it by.
Right. Well, what I can say about it is I that's one of the only games in a long time that I've gone and actually traded in. And when I traded it in, the next day I was kind of regretting it simply because, well, I found myself playing it a lot, okay? Like, there was still a lot of mechanics to it that I was like, I have to play another round, I have to play another round. But they started fixing stuff in it the next day, like with a big patch. Some of the loot drops, you got different colored loot drops. They were called engrams, and it was like basically you had to identify what you picked up. There was different ratings. There was like the completely common, which was white. The common was green. Uncommon was purple. Or no, there was green. There was purple, which was rare, and then blue, I think it was, which was like elite. You'd go and you get a purple orb, and you'd be super excited about it. You go and get it identified, and it'd be a green piece of armor or something like that. And you'd be like, well, what the hell? What just happened here? Why am I stuck with this piece of armor when it dropped a purple for me or dropped a blue? I don't remember which one was the higher one, but you get my drift. It's like it was always an armor under what it should have been.
Right, yeah. I get that.
They fixed it. Like, I was like, wait a minute here, I need to go back and tell them, never mind, I don't want to do this trade anymore. I want to try this out, and I want to see. But anyway, on to the next one. Yeah, like I said, I know you didn't play it. You had no interest, but I felt like I had to put that out there since I played it. I did enjoy it. I know I'm going to go back and play it because they are adding content to it, a lot of it, and I want to see, how far it's come from its release. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about the good games here of the year. Give me a good game.
Well, I know you know for a fact I'm gonna throw this game out there because I think I mentioned it about a month ago when we posted a question on our Facebook page about what our viewers and listeners thought the best game of the year might have been, and I said hands down it's gonna be Borderlands the pre-sequel. I mean, Borderlands could have put out a baby diaper full of crap, and I would have been like, "Oh, this is awesome." I'm such a huge Borderlands fan that they can't do any wrong. Well, they probably could, but I'm such a fanboy that it'd be hard for me to find the bad. And I really enjoyed this title. It's a little bit shorter than the other games, but they're like all other Borderlands games, always constantly putting out more content. There's new missions coming out all the time. There's new upgrades, new updates all the time. So there's always more content to the game, and you can always find more to do. This is, I think, the only game that I do play online is Borderlands because it does actually add to the value of the game. You do find people out there who are somewhat cool and not complete douchebags while playing online.
Yeah.
And some of the missions, you just need people. I mean, I know definitely with the Borderlands 2, there was that Tiny Tina expansion pack, and there's a mission in there toward the end where you're fighting like 4 different dragons at once, and it's impossible to do on your own. I mean, I've tried, and I can't even beat Dragon number 1 by myself. So the online community for the Borderlands seems to be pretty cool, and it does add to it. And it's just, if you're a fan of the story, you know the characters, and you can just get into it. And it's interesting to find out the backstory of Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2 in this pre-sequel, because it takes place just before Borderlands 2, and it's pretty fun. I like it.
Yeah, I see. The only reason I haven't played it yet personally is because I never beat Borderlands 2, and I always kind of wanted to, but I think I actually mentioned this in one of the previous episodes. The reason I haven't played like Borderlands 2 all the way through is because something new is always coming out, and I always wanted to go and play that, so it was always new, shiny.
Right. Now I have the same problem, if you show me something shiny, I'll go pick it up and forget what I was playing with before. I mean, I like I said, I have a stack of games that I literally need to just lock myself in the room and play and beat. Um, but I have the same problem. Like I'll play it for a little bit, and then something else will come out. I'll have to pick it up and play it, and I mean it's a whole thing. That's why I try to beat my games as quickly as possible, so before the new thing comes out, I can get onto the new thing first. Which was my problem with like Grand Theft Auto 5 when it came out last year for the 360 and the PS3. I basically locked myself in my room for about, I don't know, 2 weeks, it seemed like, till I beat the game. Now, there's tons of stuff I still need to go back and do, but it's also one of those things, like, things come out since then, and I picked those up and I played those and whatnot.
Exactly. I feel you there, especially with like Grand Theft Auto 3 or Grand Theft Auto 5, geez, 3. Just like there's so much content there. There's only so much you can do before you realize you're moving on, and you know you're not playing that to go see everything. Just that's the bummer part. There's always something new coming out, and it's just like in today's gaming world, you've got to keep up with it. You got to play the new, because if you're playing the old game, I'm trying to figure out a way to put it. If you're playing the old game and something new comes out, forget it. You might as well not talk to anybody, because it's just simply going to be like, oh, you're still playing that?
Yeah, you're kind of left behind.
Right, exactly.
And it makes shows like this really hard to do when you're kind of still playing the older games or trying to catch up with the games you were playing before and not moving on to the next thing. I mean, because like there's so many of these types of shows out there where people are talking about games and talking about what's coming out, what they're playing and whatnot. And if you're not on the cusp, then you might as well not even put out a show, unless you're classically retired and you can talk about anything you want to talk about.
That's right, because we're pimp like that. We rock this show.
That's how we roll, man.
So, well, I mean, it's great to be able to go back and talk retro and so on. I mean, this is like the first modern show we've really done in a few episodes.
Yeah, we've, I don't want to say we got stuck in a rut, because I don't find this show a rut at all, but
no.
I think this is the most modern conversation we've had in quite a while.
Yeah, and I think that's because we kind of got stuck in that excitement of, you know, talking about a lot of the old consoles and a lot of the old stuff. So it's definitely cool. We can go back and do that, and then come back and do this, and you know, next episode we could be talking about a movie or something like that. That's what being classically retarded is all about.
Oh yeah, always.
So one game I'm going to put out there really quick. It really didn't come out in 2014, but they brought it out onto the next-gen consoles, and yeah, that's Grand Theft Auto 5. It deserved the redo. It deserved to be brought out to the new consoles, and they did a phenomenal job with it. Like, I've gone back to the PS3 version and looked at it, and then looked at the PS4 version and just been blown away. They put a new coat of polish on the game. The first-person mode is just, it makes it a whole new game, and then of course there's still the online features, and it's still got a great storyline to it. So that definitely deserves a spot on the good list of 2014.
Well, I'll have to take your word on that. I have not upgraded to the current gen just yet. So, from what I played on the original, it's a fantastic game. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I am excited about the first-person point of view of the game they have on there now.
Yeah, and the fact that it's still it's got like the ragdoll physics, like you're literally looking through the eyeballs of the character you're playing. So if you fall and tumble, you're going to be looking at a lot of ground, and you're going to see things for just flying around because you're literally tumbling. So it's cool because you can actually turn that on and off. So if you want to see that, you can, but if you turn it off, you'll be looking straight all the time. It's kind of cool. I like how they did that.
Right. Yeah, it looked cool. I mean, at first I was kind of like, okay, they're rehashing what's already come out, but you know, it's a great game. It's one of those games that deserves to have its own update to it. That and like when the PS4 when they came out with the re-release of The Last of Us,
Yeah.
that deserved a HD remake totally because I mean I enjoyed The Last of Us so much. It was one of my favorite games of last year.
It really did kind of break the mold on like survival horror, really. That's a game I would recommend to anybody who's kind of on the edge of buying a PS3 or PS4 and they're like, I don't know, is there any good games? That'd be one of the first ones I'd say. Last of Us.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
a definite must. The mechanics to it are just fantastic. The fact that bricks really do become your friend in that game. It's just
Yeah,
I never knew.
yeah. Yeah,
um,
definitely. If no one out there knows what we're talking about, pick up a copy of the game. You'll understand 100%.
and I saw even memes online where it was like, uh, just it's like, oh, I love you, bricks. I love you. Yeah, you'll see why. Just bricks are your friend.
They are your best friend. You'll take them out to dinner dates and everything.
But anyway, since you kind of talked about that post you made about um, Borderlands, I kind of retorted to that. I kind of responded to that myself. I would have to say my favorite game of 2014, which now in hindsight, now that I'm playing another game on my list, I would probably think it would be this game's a little bit kind of deeper because my tastes in general, but I'm going to straight up say Shovel Knight.
Oh yeah?
Have you had the chance? I don't think you've probably had the chance to play that at all yet, have you?
No, sir. I did read that that's one of the top games of 2014, but I have not had a chance to play that one yet.
It it is so nostalgic. It is so amazing. Like when I first heard about it, I was like, "Oh, Shovel Knight, what the hell is this?" It sounds lame, but you start playing it, and it's Mega Man and DuckTales from the NES. Imagine those mechanics, not to mention as tight of controls as those games, and then adding the fact that you're a knight running through this kingdom. Your weapon is a shovel, all in 8 to 16-bit graphics. The music's uh, old school, everything. It's got that feel like it should be on the Nintendo, or maybe even pushing the Super Nintendo, and it keeps you engaged. It's not linear. You can choose where you want to go, and not to mention, from what I heard, there's like 300 cheat codes in it.
Wow.
There's literally a mode called like butt mode where it takes every name and changes it to butt. So the storyline will add shovel butt or butt. It's funny.
Huh. So that's one thing I do miss about gaming is the cheat codes. I remember back in the day playing NES or Genesis or whatnot, and thumbing through the old magazines and finding a list of cheat codes for whatever game you're playing at that moment. And you're like, oh my god, I gotta try these codes out, and just running home and trying the codes as quickly as you can, finding the good ones, finding the bad ones. It was just a fun experience to do. And now being in the current generation of gaming that we are in, where everything's attached to achievements or trophies, is considered cheating, and you can't use them to get the achievements or whatnot because they're cheating. Blah blah
It
blah.
Yeah, it really frowns on cheating. It makes you not want to. I think the only game I would still cheat on to this day is Grand Theft Auto, but that's only whenever I'm feeling like going on a rampage, and then I'd go back and load my game again and just be like, okay, time to get serious, and then play it on normal mode.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Grand Theft Auto is a great one that they use cheat codes on. I remember Grand Theft Auto 3. I always put in the code for the tank.
yeah, the what was it called? The Rhino?
Yeah, the Rhino, so you can just roll down town blowing everything up, blowing up all the cop cars and the helicopters and stuff.
Endless fun.
Endless fun. You're correct.
Endless.
Correct.
That's in every Grand Theft Auto. Like, it just complete endless fun. don't get me wrong, there's occasion when a cop will blow you up and finally the tank just kind of gives out. But I mean, you step out of the hospital, you do the code again, the tank literally drops out of the sky, you get in, have more fun.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, Shovel Knight, it's a must. I think it's out on PC, 3DS. It's coming to, I believe, the PS3 and the Vita now. So there's really like no excuse not to play it. I mean, it should play on even the lightest of systems as far as PC goes. It is not a heavy system requirement game.
Well, then I may have to go ahead and get myself a copy of that and just give it a whirl tomorrow.
Yeah, dude. Reserve a chunk of time. It is good. It will draw you in.
Well, tomorrow is a school day, so I'll be down to one kid, and it'll make it a lot easier to do so.
There you go. So, another game, another good one.
Well, in my list, my list is full of games, but there's only been a handful that I personally played. But one game that came out early last year that was highly anticipated. I mean, it's one of those games that people were talking about for a long time and kept on getting pushed back and pushed back. And then when it finally came out, it was just an amazing game. I mean, the gameplay is awesome, the storyline's great, and the graphics, I mean, they match exactly what they should look like in this particular type of game.
And let me guess, whenever you fart and Butters is with you and he laughs, it makes you laugh every time. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Thank you. Tell it. Preach it.
South Park: The Stick of Truth. Oh my God, I played this game so hardcore. It is hilarious too, because like you got these special moves, and when you do it, I mean, each character's got their own special move, of course. And when you do them, it's great. But Butters is the best.
Oh man, I played it a little bit after it came out, and it's like as soon as I found out my character could fart on command, and Butters was kind of your little companion, and he'd laugh every time, dude. That just endless chuckles from me. Like I would just be running along, just fart out of the blue in the game, and Butters would chuckle. Just it just would make me laugh every time. And even like my wife, she'd get tired of hearing me chuckle because I would do that so much.
Now, my favorite move in the whole entire game is when you're fighting a group of students, and if you have Jimmy with you and you do his special move, he does the brown note. It is amazing.
And they really kind of stuck to old episodes of South Park and really brought it out in this game. And anybody who had any reservations, if you've played Chef's Love Shack or the South Park Rally Race, or was it like Rally? I think it was just Rally.
Rally.
Just the South Park game, the first-person shooter on the N64, any of those games, you know, just check those reservations at the door and just play this game. It is an RPG type game. It plays like Mario, Paper Mario. Was it Paper Mario? No, it's a Mario RPG. My bad.
Yeah, there you
go. It just every character, like Kenny's, it still makes me laugh like hard to this day because he starts showing the other kids his boobs because he's dressed as a princess, okay, and them just getting like enthralled by his boobs. Just oh my God.
Great. I was really surprised how close the graphics of the game look like you're watching an episode of South Park. I mean, I've seen you mentioned the games before, the South Park Rally and the Chef's Love Shack, and the graphics, they look like PS1, PS2 graphics where it looks like it's just cut out from a magazine kind of graphics, whereas the Stick of Truth, I mean, the graphics look like it could have been an episode of South Park. It really could have been.
Yeah, all the way down to even when you're moving the character, he just kind of hops around like the other characters in South Park. When they talk, the mouth movement's the same, everything. And from what I heard, even Matt Stone and Trey Parker had to actually map out an actual map for the town of South Park. It's
Yeah,
something they had never done before, and to see how kind of South Park comes together, it's really cool. If you're a fan of South Park, it it was really cool because they put so many references in there, so many jokes from the show itself. It from beginning to end, just complete enjoyment. Matter of fact, I'm thinking of going back and playing it again.
yeah. I was actually like, as soon as I beat it, I went back and started playing again. But then again, I put it down because something else came out. But that's one game I definitely do want to pick up and start playing again. Just pick it back up and play for a few hours. 'Cause it's a fun game.
It really is. And I mean, even though you know what happens in the story, it's still just to go back and enjoy every little moment of it. It's really worth it. And also the Hasselhoff treatment from Tom's rhinoplasty. Just being able to do that, get yourself like literally you get plastic surgery to look like David Hasselhoff, and you literally look like David Hasselhoff.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's a must.
Definitely.
Um, One, I know we're kind of running out of time, or we're getting low on time here, and we haven't even got to the bad yet. So I'm just going to put a couple of uh, titles out there, and then there's one I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
Infamous Second Son came out. That game was freaking fantastic. Different spin on the Infamous game. Well, not different spin, but different character. I was on the little reserved about it, but when I played it, I fell in love with it because I liked the character. I like Troy Baker as a voice actor, and he voices the main character Delson Rowe on it.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, he's up there with Nolan North voicing the world. But there's that. A game that I didn't play that I actually saw that I do want to play is Bayonetta 2 on the Wii U. Like,
Right? Yeah, I love the first one, but it being a Wii U exclusive is like, I'm never gonna play it unless I break down and get a Wii U, you know?
exactly. And that brings me to the other game, Mario Kart 8. I had played it at a Walmart display and was pleasantly surprised. It was a pretty crisp, pretty game. Mario Kart's always pretty great, so those definitely shined on the Wii U. I'm not a fan of Smash Brothers, so I can't say Smash Brothers, even though that does grace a lot of people's list.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was probably in the top 10 of more than half of the list I saw out there.
Right. And then one that I actually do have, and I started playing again as of last night, is Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition. I hated Diablo 3 when I first like beta tested it and sat it down, but like when it came out on the PS4 and I started seeing the commercials on TV, I was like, I gotta play it. I gotta play it. And something told me to buy it, and sure enough, I went and bought it, and I freaking love the game. It is perfect with a controller. It's endless killing and endless satisfaction. And if you get a good pair of headsets on, and you just listen to every thump, every thud, every creature, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I remember you made a video of the beating Diablo.
Diablo Super Bitch.
Yeah, Super Bitch Diablo. I remember that. That was
Uh,
funny.
and then one more, the one that I said that could beat Shovel Knight as far as like my top favorite game. Uh, since I've had my Oculus Rift, there hasn't been much good stuff coming out to use on the Oculus, and that's been a little bit of a bummer. But one like flagship game that people have been saying to play is a game called Elite Dangerous, and this game, it's like Wing Commander. It's a space simulator, space combat simulator type game. But I mean, you can dock with spaceports, you can go mining, you can go exploring. You've got a bunch of other players. It's kind of an MMO. You can get stopped by other players. They can attack you on a whim. And this game is so immersive. I lost myself into it for about 2 hours the other day, And when I came out of it, took the Oculus Rift off, and it was just sunshiny in the house, and I was just like totally blinded, and I just kind of had to step back into reality. That's the first time I've really done that with the Oculus Rift. It's amazing. It is a gorgeous game. It'll make you feel claustrophobic because you're always in the cockpit, but you feel like you're there in the cockpit. That's the coolest thing about it.
Well, that's cool.
So I had to put that one out there.
Right on. I know you spent a little bit on that Oculus Rift, and I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff on your channel about it.
I need to. I really need to bring some games. There's a couple of good games I've played on it that I really need to bring to my channel.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right. How about you? How about some good titles? Throw them at me.
Some good titles. Let's see. I talked about this game quite a bit this last year. Wolf Among Us. That was a great game. I mean, I really want to get into the comic book series just from playing the game alone. Another great game, Walking Dead Season 2 by Telltale. Great game. Not as good as the first one, of course, but still a great game. Very immersive, great storyline, and I mean, you care about the character enough from the first game that it carries over into the second game. Let's see. I know I bought this game back in February or March. Fable Anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of the Fable series, so when I heard they're making an HD upgrade of the Fable Lost Chapters, I had to get it. And if you played the Fable game for the original Xbox or the Lost Chapters, nothing really new to expect from it. It's just basically an HD upgrade, and you can tell that it's an HD upgrade. But it's just fun to see, the game play on the newer systems, or at the time, newer systems.
Yeah. Like Grand Theft Auto, it's prettier graphics. It's still a great game, but you're looking at it prettified.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, another game that I haven't played but I want to with every ounce of my being, it's Sunset Overdrive.
Right. I know that has graced quite a few people's lists too.
Right. Yeah, it looks really nice. Apparently it's very music heavy. If you're a fan of music, then you'll really enjoy this game because I guess one of the characters in the game is King Buzzo from the Melvins, and I'm a fan of the Melvins. I've been a fan of the Melvins for 20-some years now, and it's just hilarious that he's in the game. He's one of the guys that says, "Okay, this is the mission. You want me to play this gig? This is what you gotta do."
Oh man, I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, yeah. There's a video on YouTube you can find that shows the whole entire cutscene with King Buzzo.
I'm gonna look that up when this show's over. I had no idea.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess it's one of those like kind of like a cyberpunk kind of game where it's very music heavy. So if you're a fan of music, especially like the alternative grunge or just off the dials type of stuff, then this is a game to pick up.
I am down. I am totally down for that.
Yes, sir. And that's pretty much it for me. And there's a couple other games like Far Cry 4 was a big one that came out. I never played it. I'm not a fan of the Far Cry series, but I guess this game is a big game changer when it comes to the Far Cry series.
Let me just put my thoughts in on that real quick. I was a huge fan of Far Cry 3. Voss was such a badass villain. Like, he is one of my all-time favorite villains because of how crazy and wacko he is. I was watching some videos just tonight of Voss, and he's such a great villain. Like, he's calm and collected one second, and the next second he's stabbing somebody in the throat. It's just fantastic. And 4, like, I want to play it. I haven't played it yet. There's the villain Pagan Min, which once again voiced by the almighty Troy Baker. And I watched some video of it, and I was like, man, I need to see him. They were doing like a comparison between Voss and him, and still Voss looks like he's still very unstable and very erratic and very watchable compared to Pagan Min. So,
right.
I heard it's not really a game changer. It's pretty much Far Cry 3.5, but it's still Far Cry, and Far Cry 3 was still an amazing game.
Well, right on. And now another game that they mentioned as being a big one, and every year I guess is a big game, is the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not a Call of Duty fan, but I have a lot of friends who love the Call of Duty series, and they were like just drooling the second they heard that there's gonna be another Call of Duty and that it's gonna take place in the future.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I'm not a fanboy of the Call of Duty franchise. I wish that they would really, really sink their teeth into some fresh ideas and change the game up a bit. But the thing is it sells, and I can understand from their standpoint, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff broke in it, but it Advanced Warfare is my favorite Call of Duty, and like I've owned it since release, and I haven't had a rage uh, round on it. I haven't raged at all in any round until tonight. Like just before I did this episode, I had that one round that just pissed me off to no end. So that's actually saying something, because I get pretty pissed at multiplayer games really quick because there's a lot of cheap deaths. So for me to say that the game's been out, what, 2 months now, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it's been about 2 months since it's come out. Yeah.
Yeah, so it really is good. It's not a game changer, but it's good in its own right.
Right, right. Well, I've heard from other people that they consider it a big game changer. That I guess it's developed by a new company, so it's this new company's it's this company's first time out with the Call of Duty series, and they did a lot of stuff right this time around. Where as last time, not as much was done. Like I guess Call of Duty Ghosts was a big flop.
Yes.
It
It
wasn't as big as it should or could have been. And so this new company is doing the Advanced Warfare really did it right.
yeah, it they just got a lot wrong with Ghosts. It was still big in its own right because, I mean, it's a Call of Duty game, so it's got that dare I say prestige behind it that people's going to go buy it. And I mean, I wasn't as excited up to the point of release, and with good reason. The game really did not turn out all that great. But this one, like, I don't know what it is. I have this weird sense that I can tell it's going to be good. Like the first Black Ops, it's like I wasn't excited about it when I first started hearing about it. Then as I saw trailers for it, I was like, I have to play that. And then I found out Avenged Sevenfold actually did a song for it. I was like, oh, I'm there. I'm all about it. So this one, yeah, it really is good. It's like I said, it's not a game changer. If you don't like Call of Duty, this is not a Call of Duty that's going to make you like the series.
Okay.
So, one more game I want to point out, and this is just to quickly get to it before we go into our worst list. PT on the PS4, and it's not even a full game. It's not a game in its own right. It was a teaser, and it was for like it was by the developers of Silent Hill. They were supposed to be showing. I'm still confused by it because it was you in this long hallway, this kind of winding hallway that repeated itself. But every time you come back around to a certain door, it'd be closed or it'd be open or there'd be something different going on. And I mean, it royally scares the piss out of you.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that game. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be a new Silent Hill, right?
Yeah, they used it. I'm trying to remember what PT stood for. It stood for like partial trailer or something like that. But nobody knew what it was when it first came out. It was just like, okay, PT, what the hell? What's this? And very disturbing. Like I said, it's just a little playable sort of demo, but I mean, there's a bathroom with a weird. It looks like an aborted fetus crying in a sink. Um, uh, Dead woman hanging, rooms turning red, just a very unsettling demo.
Hmm.
it's definitely Silent Hill-esque. But if you did certain things right, and I haven't gone back and looked at it, but there was certain things you could do in order that at the end of it, you got a little teaser trailer for Silent Hill, the new Silent Hill they're working on. Actually, Guillermo del Toro is helping with this one, which is big.
Yeah.
But like the trailer shows old Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead in it. I don't know if he's going to be the playable character, but he's in it.
Right. Yeah. I read a little bit about that. I believe he is going to be the playable character in that game.
Yeah, Norman Reedus. I couldn't remember his name. Why? Why? I've been on a Walking Dead kick here lately, and I couldn't remember his damn name.
Yeah, I noticed you've been on a little bit of a Walking Dead kick.
Oh yeah, I'm finally caught up. So I'm excited about that. I'm ready for February 8th.
Oh, me too, sir. I've been drooling since it went off back in December.
I'm glad I didn't have to wait as long as you then.
I've been waiting since the mid-season finale.
They just released the new trailer for the second half. I'm ready. I really am. So, but yeah, that was cool. It was unsettling. It was creepy, and if you even left the game paused for too long, you would still die. Like it would literally startle you because there'd be something that'd get you and kill you. Just fantastic. So, all right. So along with the good games, there was plenty of bad ones. Like I said, it was still a year that people said was really, really bad for gaming. So, what's the first on the list for you?
Well, I know a lot of people have been talking about this game. It's been on a lot of lists. I never even knew this game came out last year, let alone how bad it was going to be. But Rambo, the video game. Like I said, I literally did not hear a single word about this game, and all of a sudden, I'm doing research on this show, and it's on everyone's top 10 list of the worst games of the year, and I was like, really, why? And I went and looked at it, and I can see why.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the fortunate and unfortunate things about us not recording this episode last night, because I had found out about this game through the Angry Joe show, and I love watching his reviews, and he did a fantastic review on it. I don't know if you've seen it, but you have to go watch it because he does a whole thing where he's dressed up in a muscle suit and he's walking around like Rambo, and just like he has one guy sitting there just shooting at him. Like he just keeps walking closer to the guy, walking closer to the guy. Next thing, it shows a scene, a side view, and he's standing right next to the guy shooting at him with a machine gun. And he just shoots him once, he explodes.
Nice.
But that was the first time I'd heard about the game, and I mean my curiosity wasn't deep enough, I guess, because I didn't touch it. I forgot about it until we decided to do this episode. I went last night and I installed the game. Played it a little bit last night. I don't really remember it. I was under the spell of my sleeping medicine at that point.
Ambien, take me away.
Yes. So this morning I got up. I was like, I'm going to play some Rambo. I played enough of it to realize just how awful the game was. Let me tell you this. It's an on-rail shooter.
Yep.
Now that's not bad, okay? I mean, you can do good with a rail shooter, but this one, the hide mechanics, like you're still kind of halfway sticking out when you're hiding a lot of the time. The enemies, like you pop out and they're hitting you instantly. Like they're it is not like the movie. They would not make good stormtroopers simply because they hit you like every time. The dialogue in the game is all ripped from the movie.
Oh,
Yes, every spoken line is something from the movie. So, like, at the end of every level, you hear Rambo. He's like, "Mission accomplished.
yeah?
Mission accomplished." I was just like, okay, all right. Rambo, the graphics are like PS2 quality. They're like the second stage is what was it? First Blood, where he's being chased by Brian Dennehy and all his police officers.
Yeah, yeah, that's First Blood.
Yeah, they're bringing him out of his jail cell, and for one, Rambo just looks awful. He looks like Sylvester Stallone a little, but he's got a really oh hey, time's up. Okay, sorry. I don't know if you heard those beeps or not, but
No, I actually didn't.
that's our 1 hour timer. Anyway, he's got this really bad hairdo going on, and when he stands up, like his arms are just kind of dangling there. He's got these really thin arms, and they're dangling like freaking, I don't know, it's like meat, just hanging.
Like socks of meat, huh?
Yeah, and then you got these really awkward quick time moments where he's just beating the crap out of all the police officers. I guess I had turned on a power up where it's like you never fail the quick time events. So even though I was failing all the quick time events, I was still getting through the whole thing. It got real stupid. The lines kept repeating, like there was enemies yelling the same things. And this is one thing that stood out from the Angry Joe show was towards the last level, the enemies kept saying, "He's a man, not a god. He's a man, not a god." So it's just always, "He's a man, not a god. He's a man, not a god. He's a man, not a god." It's just, it was like, just stop, please, kill me. So, yes, don't. There's no redeeming quality to the game. I didn't have any of the crashes like other people have had. Like the game didn't crash on me or anything like that. But trust me, it's not pretty. It doesn't sound good. It's not fun, and just like some of it makes no sense. Like, I mean, when the police are coming at you in First Blood, in the quick time events you can take them out and everything. There was one point when you're stealthily getting through a forest, and if you get the quick time events quick enough, if you get like a perfect, you stun the police officers. You punch them in the face, knock them out or whatever. But if you do too slow, you kill them. Like Rambo literally goes up and slices their throat or stabs them in the side, then stabs them in the chest. Just like, it's just like, oh, okay. Well, then you get into the shooting scenes with the cops, and you get points deducted if you kill the cops. If you shoot them in the leg or whatever, then it's okay. But if you shoot them, it literally says cop killer.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay, so in the quick time events, it's okay. If you throw a grenade at them and they explode, it's okay. But if you shoot them in the chest purposely, you deduct points. It's stupid. It's bad. It does deserve to be one of the worst games of 2014.
Yeah, just by the sounds of it and everything I've seen, it just looks real bad.
It is getting deleted with fire from my computer now that we're done with this episode.
Yay.
How about any others?
I've heard a lot of bad things about Sonic Boom, the newest Sonic the Hedgehog adventure, I guess you can call it.
Rise of Lyric.
Yep.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, I heard that it's just clunky gameplay, that the story is not redeeming in any way, that if you have any kind of love for Sonic, it would be totally lost on this. They actually said this is actually worse than the one that came out in 06.
You see, and yeah, I agree with that. A lot of the lists, well, no, not just a lot, but all of the lists that I saw had Rambo, and it had Sonic, Rise of Lyric. And we had talked about Sonic as being Sega's mascot a few episodes ago, and how Sonic had some great games, coming out the gate. But man, he's slowed down. I think he just needs to be taken out to the woods and just put out of his misery. This is getting horrible, and it's such a stain on what was once a great franchise.
Well, I think basically Sonic's just not built for the 3D world, and that's where he kind of fell into a really bad slump. Is when he went from the 2D platformer to the 3D realm, he just fell flat. Now, of course, Sonic CD is the one shining example of a Sonic 3D world where it's done well, but it's also still mostly 2D.
Yeah, the only time you played actual 3D was when you were working on getting a Chaos Emerald.
Right.
You know, that was fine, but also the inclusion of so many different characters. Like, for the record, I haven't played this game. I've just seen a lot on it, and from what I've seen of it, even the gameplay and everything, just awful. You'd think that they'd bring this and show it some love, but it's sloppy. But they're getting so many of these characters from like when they made the cartoon and everything. It's getting cluttered, and to be quite honest, I'd be okay if it was just Sonic and Tails again,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Dr. Robotnik.
yeah. If they strip the series down to just the basics, I think they could redeem it. But at this point in time, I mean, it's been probably 20 years of bad compared to maybe 3 or 4 years of good.
Yeah, they could so totally go back and pull a Mega Man on it, where they brought out Mega Man 9 and 10 on like the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and it was NES all over again. But it was fantastic. Mega Man has had its little fair share of troubled waters, but it still comes back. It's still a favorite amongst people because yeah, it does come back. It does listen to its players. Sonic is not doing that.
Mm-mm. No, I think once Sega kind of stopped making consoles and it started pimping their characters to anyone who will let them on the system, they kind of lost their magic.
hmm And I mean, it's just the way of the time. Like they want to try to pump out the 3D games. They want it to make it look pretty and everything, but story and everything, not story, but everything else gets put on the wayside,
Yep.
and
Yep.
just they forget about it almost, and it's sad. Everything needs to be cohesive. Everything needs to work together. One gear in the whole machine broken, the whole machine's not going to work right.
That's correct, sir. You're 100% correct on that.
So I would like to see it come back to 2D and be a whole new game and just fun as hell. I hope they get that idea. They probably won't, but I would love to see that.
Well, if they listen to our show, they would.
Come on, Sonic developers, listen. What is it, Team Sonic? Listen to us.
Yep.
We know what we're talking about. Please.
We're fans. Fix it.
We love Sonic. I love Sonic. Shoot. Sega! Anyway, yeah, I don't have many on my list here. One I will bring out, and this has graced a few lists, but Soul Calibur Lost Swords?
Yeah, I saw that on a couple of lists myself.
PS3, free to play. It looked and reeked of Soul Calibur. I love Soul Calibur. I have ever since the first Soul Calibur came out, and when it was Soul Blade on the PS1, loved it.
Yes.
So when this game came out, and I had the chance to possibly play online with my friends on it, a free-to-play MMO, hell yeah, or free-to-play game, hell yeah. Turns out you can't even play multiplayer on it. You can't play two players. It's a single-player experience.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And I heard in order to progress anywhere in the game, you have to basically pay to play.
Yeah.
You can buy the upgrades and buy the updates and buy the characters and buy the moves, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, the ability to play on comes back over time. Like it's one of those where it's like you get so many action points per 20 minutes. That was fine with me. I understand it's free to play, but when it becomes a necessity to buy the stuff, that's to continue playing it. That's when I get upset. Because I mean, you should be able to play these games without having to buy anything. This has been done. It's actually worked. There's a game on the PC called Tribes Ascend. The Tribes franchise was big back in the day. They brought this game. You don't need to buy a single thing to enjoy it for hours on end. Soul Calibur got it wrong. very limited character roster. It was cool to actually collect some of the items, as you fought, but still, once again, it's a single player thing. How are you going to make a fighting game that, I mean, hell, you could even get two controllers and play on the same console? Why would you make it only one player?
Yeah, that's a little odd. It'd be like making Mortal Kombat a single player game.
Oh God, yeah, it would catch scorn bad. Street Fighter. Street Fighter. Well, we're gonna let you choose Ryu, Chun Li. We'll put E Honda in there. We'll go ahead and put. Oh hell, we're gonna release Charlie on there, but that's all you get. No, it doesn't work like that. So Soul Calibur, screw you, Soul Calibur. You guys did wrong.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, it's a good idea making it free, but I think they expected you to spend tons and tons of money on all this other stuff. Kind of like what are those games called? The freemiums.
Mm-hmm. Freemium, play to win.
Yeah, like the Simpsons have one, Tapped Out, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Where you can play, but you gotta wait like a million hours to do anything, and if you want to progress any faster, you have to pay for donuts so you can buy things, and it's just ridiculous.
Exactly. It's kind of those are kind of a time waster. Simpsons ain't all that bad, but still, I mean, to do anything worthwhile, it costs time and money. And for a lot of us, those are two commodities that we don't have.
Exactly.
Speaking of games like that, one game that graced my list, which it did grace a few lists, not as many as Rambo or anything like that, but this was another game last night that it gave me a chance to go and play it, and that is Dungeon Keeper on, well, I think it's only on Android phones, but yeah, Dungeon Keeper. The game holds true to the old Dungeon Keeper games. Don't get me wrong, it's fun until you hit a wall. There's a point towards the beginning where you're like, okay, I'm slapping around my little minions, I'm slapping around my imps, that's fun, ha ha. Then all of a sudden, like, you do one mission, you go and attack one dungeon or two dungeons, and then it's like, hey, if you want a free imp, you can buy gems. You can buy 14,000 gems for $100, literal dollars. You need gems to progress in this game. Like, you cannot buy new imps to do anything without 800 gems to begin with. You're given like 500 from the get-go. When you do, I mean, it gives you gems, but like if you complete an attack on a dungeon, you'll get like 2 gems. It is stingy like that. It is so... it's a miser. The game just pisses you off because it's like, well, the game's free, yeah, but I'm sorry, if you want 500 gems, you're gonna pay $5 for them.
That's insane.
That's why it gets a big middle finger from me. Like, I hit that wall and it just really pissed me off.
Wow, that's insane. I hate when they do that kind of shit where they make it to where it's impossible to progress unless you pay to do it, and that's a prime example right there.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be such a problem if it wasn't somewhat addicting, because the Dungeon Keeper games were always kind of addicting to me, and I could see people going and just blowing all sorts of money on this. It's just it really sucks you in. And that's the way they're getting their money. It's just sad. It's irritating because I want to play it, but
right.
I'm not going to spend that money. That's 14,000. Like I said, it costs 800 gems to buy an imp after your second one. So 14,000 gems is not going to last you long. And not to mention, if you want your imps to speed up and build something quicker, you've got to spend gems to speed them up.
Right. It reminds me of that episode of South Park this last season where the kids of South Park were addicted to the Terrence and Phillip freemium game. and apparently they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on all these little upgrades they need to do to progress, just like in these games here.
Yeah, and that actually stemmed from an actual story of some kid spending like $40,000 of his parents' money on freemium games like that. So that is like the shining example of these companies just gouging you. There's plenty of games like that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Plenty.
yeah,
But
they're everywhere now.
yeah, but there is some that are done right. I mean, there's some games that you can buy the stuff and it's worth it. One game I'll point out that shoot actually came out in 2014 is Hearthstone, which is a card battling game, a card collecting game by Blizzard. And I mean, if you're into like Magic the Gathering, I mean, it's really good. The graphics are crisp, colorful. It's a kind of a comedic game, but you can buy booster packs like Magic the Gathering. You can build your own deck of cards to play. And I mean, I can see that being okay. I mean, you spend $4 or $5 for a pack of, I think it's like 10 or 5, or no, it's like $3. You get like 5 or 6 cards, but you're looking at very common cards to the super rare cards that would pop up that you can play with. Now that, I mean, I can see that's okay to me.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad, I guess. I mean, it plays on the classic card battling systems, and it's no different than going out and buying the packs, in real life. So I can kind of see where that's not too bad. But when you have to pay for, like, oh, you want to build this tower? Well, you can wait 8 hours for it to build, or if you want to build it now, it's going to cost you 15 gemstones.
Yeah, there's a difference between a game saying, "Do you want to play our game? Well, you got to buy more," as opposed to, "You want to keep playing our game? You can, but hey, we have this to offer you if you want to buy it. You don't have to, but trust us, you might want to." I'm down for that. I mean, shoot, we spend $15 a month on paid subscriptions to MMOs. I mean, what's spending a couple bucks on a couple packs of cards in a game like that, especially if you're having a lot of fun with it.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, that's for a different episode.
Yep, that's a whole different ball of wax right there.
All right, any others on your list?
Well, I got a couple more, but I don't know if they're considered the worst or if they're just considered disappointing. I know, you talked about this game actually. Titanfall.
What?
I thought you had a big problem with it not being as good as you expected it to be.
No, not really. Maybe I did say that. I don't know, but I enjoy Titanfall.
Well, then never mind. I'm a dumbass. But from what I heard, Titanfall wasn't as good as everyone's expecting it to be, and it was kind of a disappointment. Maybe not the worst game of the year, but definitely something that kind of falls in the same realm as like a Watch Dogs or maybe even a Destiny.
Wow. No, Titanfall was actually pretty darn good to me. I'm a huge fan of mech combat games and so on. But also, I didn't get that game thinking it was going to be a genre changer. I didn't expect it to be what other people thought it was going to be. So it definitely would not grace a bad list. As a matter of fact, I spent hours playing that game. I have it on both the PC and the Xbox 360 because I like it that much. If I buy a game for two different consoles or two different systems, it's a good game.
Well, then I stand corrected, sir.
See, that's the only bummer is since we don't have certain consoles like the Wii U or the Xbox One or since you don't have a PS4, we're not able to get a fully researched idea on it. That's the only thing. Like Sonic, I want to play it so bad just to get my own opinion on it.
Right. Yeah, there's a few games on here I would love to sit down and to see how good they are or how bad they are, but it goes to the whole entire console exclusive or just not
Exactly.
having all the systems that you would need to play all these different games.
Exactly. And that's the bummer part. I really wish, I wish I could just even just rent a console just to play it a couple days, and so I can form an opinion on it a little bit better than instead of just going to YouTube and looking it up and getting an opinion on what I just see. I would love to just actually play it, feel the controls, see how it controls, uh, whether or not I like it or not. It's just, it's a bummer we can't do that. We're too broke.
Right. Yeah, too broke. Too many systems, too much money.
Exactly, and they all come out around the same time to compete with each other, and that's just bad on the wallet.
Exactly. Now, I do have one more game on here that I can tell you is probably a bad game without having ever played it just because of what it's called. And I
Oh,
think you may agree. Anything with the name Duck Dynasty on it
oh God,
cannot be a good game.
that I do not know why I did not write that down, but I've seen plenty enough to know I don't want to play it.
No, I mean anything with the Duck Dynasty guys, I don't give a fuck about.
Right, and their faces are everywhere. Like Duck Dynasty craze took off. Everybody loves it. I don't know why. Now, I will admit that I was amused when it first came out, and that's when it wasn't cool at the time. I was like, yeah, that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. But it caught fire real quick, and it's like you can't go into a Walmart or anywhere really without seeing a bunch of freaking Duck Dynasty merchandise. And they decided, a developer thought it was a good idea to bring the game out on the Wii U and the PC and the 3DS and all that, and then just facepalm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did you happen to see some of the video on some of that game?
Little bit. I couldn't stomach a whole lot of it because I live in the South. I hear that talk all day long, every day. So having to sit and wanting to watch a video about it is very hard for me to do.
Right. Yeah, I myself live in the South. I'm from the belt buckle of the Bible Belt, Oklahoma. So, and I live in a little podunk redneck town. I wish it was as cool as like South Park being a redneck town, but no, this is like freaking. Oh, I gotta have my chew with me. I gotta have my dip. I gotta wear my cowboy hat and ride my John Deere. So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you. I have to see that crap daily.
Yep. So it's really hard to say. Okay, I'm gonna sit down and watch a Duck Dynasty video game. No, don't want to. Don't need to.
Yeah, it from the look of some of the cutscenes, it looks like they were just, they told them sit down, just read these lines as dry as possible. The gameplay, from what I heard, consists of driving around in your truck to get to a location to shoot a bunch of ducks or go hunting or whatever.
Yep.
There was one point I saw it was like racing on um, those the boats with the big
The swamp.
yeah,
Fan,
swamp boats,
yeah, the fan boats.
fan boats. Yeah, just why? And people are buying it.
Yes, they are.
It's awful.
Because it's cool, man. Ding a ding do.
Yeah, it it's sad that that game has actually sold. When I first saw the game on a couple lists, I was halfway tempted to look at my local Redbox and see if I could get it just to play it, but I would rather play Rambo. Like I would rather have Rambo as my only game to play ever compared to playing Duck Dynasty once.
Wow, that's a very bold statement, sir.
It is very bold because I've played Rambo.
Yes, you have.
So,
Yes, you have. Wow.
the only other game on my list, I'm just throwing it out there real quick. Let me make sure here. Yeah. The only other game that was a big kind of flop and disappointment was actually the Elder Scrolls Online. Uh, I played the beta on that and have seen plenty of the actual game to say it's awful.
Oh wow.
And it's a shame because it's an Elder Scrolls.
I know. I know. I know you and I both enjoy the Elder Scrolls series.
Oh yeah, Morrowind was the first one I had ever played. I fell in love with that game. Had to go back and play the other ones. Played Oblivion, Skyrim. So when they first said they were making an MMO, I was hesitant, but as it progressed, I was getting more and more excited about it. And when it came out, finding out that you couldn't do the same instance with other players, like they were floating arrows. It would show where they were, but they weren't fighting alongside you. The game was just a really big hot mess, and I just can't believe they got away with selling that game. From what I'm gathering, it already looks like it's about to go free to play.
Well, it's probably a good thing. I mean, from what I've read and what I've seen, it took a good IP and just made it horrible. I mean, it just took everything that was good about the series and just kind of discarded it, saying, okay, we know that players like this, players enjoy that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to try to stuff it into this, Warcraft type of box.
Yeah, they raped it like George Lucas raped Star Wars.
Yeah, at least George Lucas got paid for that.
Yeah. So that's all on my list. Like I don't think we listed off all the good ones that were on my list, but I mean we got through a majority of them. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I have a few left, but nothing really worth mentioning. I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job. We've listed probably about what I'd say about 15, almost 20 good games and about 12 bad games.
We got through some titles, that's for sure.
Yeah, we went a little over on time, but we always do.
Yeah. Well, and for our listeners, we're wrapping it up now, but I want to let you all know that there is going to be a sort of companion video coming up, maybe here within the week, maybe during next weekend, or this upcoming weekend, I should say. I'm going to throw a bunch of clips from these games up on here so you can kind of see for yourself what I'm talking about, or what we're talking about, I should say. And you'll see. I do apologize that this is very light on editing. There's no videos, but we definitely want to make that up.
Yeah, definitely. We try to do the best we can when we can, but we kind of fell behind, like we said before. We had been doing a thing where we'd record the show about a week ahead of time, so it gives the other person about a week to edit, and it got away from us a little bit. So
Yeah.
we'll try to get it back under reins, but we can't promise anything 100%.
We were still dealing with Christmas and New Year's, and that tends to really kind of strain life in general. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, and the episodes will come out when they come out. So we'll just kind of roll with the punches and go from there.
Yep.
So that's going to do it for this episode. Of course, go to our Facebook page and look up the Classically Retarded Show. If you found us there, hit the like button on our YouTube channel, Classically Retarded Show, and check out Retarded by Choice on his. Obviously, he's got some great content there, especially the new episode of Inappropriate Children Toys.
Yep, that just got up today, so always check it out, like it, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff.
That's right.
Then don't forget to go over to the Classic Game Freak channel. We're on.
I get those mixed up too. Don't worry.
It's very similar.
And I think I would have just said the same thing. Please check out my channel, Classic Game Freak. My last couple of videos, I did a review on the PX4 Turtle Beach headset, as well as the Mickey Mouse 3DS unboxing. So if you're curious about those, head on over to my channel and check those out.
Yep, and we're always updating new videos every week, and like we said, check out the Facebook page. We're trying to keep it somewhat current, And just let us know if you find something on here we talk about or we don't talk about that you want us to. Let us know. We'll work it into a future episode.
Absolutely, and we're actually right now in talks about maybe talking to a employee of Rockstar.
Yep.
So I know somebody who's actually working there and working on the heists for Grand Theft Auto 5. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because he mentioned it, and Retarded and I are talking about it, and hopefully maybe the next episode, if not the episode after next, we'll have him on the show as well.
Yep. Plus, we're working on some other things that we're not quite ready to discuss just yet, but just keep an eye out, and we'll definitely keep you informed.
So there you go. It's worth gracing your ear holes with.
Yep.
So that's gonna do it. Of course, every other week we are striving to be here, and we hope to see you guys back then. So this is Classic Game Freak.
And Retired by Choice.
You all have a good one, and see you in the next episode.
All right, peace.
Cheers. Can't get enough gaming talk from just this episode? Then head on over to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/classicallyretardedshow. There you can keep up to date on gaming news, sales and deals we've spotted on the interwebs, giveaways, podcast updates, as well as anything and everything retro.